Imagine waking up tomorrow and your shoes are gone. Not one pair, all of them. No sneakers, no sandals, no boots, no slippers, just your feet and the ground. Now you have to walk across hot pavement, across gravel, across broken dirt, across wet soil, across cold stone. Your body says no. Your brain says danger. Your feet say stop. But an ancient human could not stop. There was no backup pair. There was no soft insole. There was no arch support. There was no thick foam under the heel. There was only skin, bone, muscle, nerve, and earth. So the easy answer is this. Ancient humans were tougher. They had harder lives. They had stronger bodies. They could handle pain better. That answer feels right, but it is not deep enough. Because the real answer is stranger. Ancient humans did not survive barefoot because they ignored pain. They survived because their feet were built by a world that never protected them. The ground shaped them. Every step trained them. Every rock warned them. Every thorn tested them. Every hot surface taught them timing. Every cold morning taught them caution. Their feet were not weak modern feet without shoes. They were different feet. And that difference begins long before adulthood. It begins with the first steps of a child. A modern child usually learns to walk on smooth floors, carpet, tiles, wood, soft rugs. Then shoes appear. Tiny shoes, cute shoes, supportive shoes, protective shoes. The foot is still growing. The bones are still forming. The muscles are still learning their job. The nerves are still mapping the world. But a shoe interrupts that conversation. It places a wall between the foot and the ground. It holds the toes together. It cushions impact. It supports the arch. It reduces strain. It also reduces training. Now imagine an ancient child. No nursery floor, no padded playmat, no rubber sole. The first steps happen on dirt, on grass, on roots, on stones, on slope, on mud, on uneven ground. Every step sends information upward. This is sharp. This is soft. This is slippery. This is hot. This is unstable. This will roll your ankle. This will hold your weight. The brain listens. The body adjusts. The toes spread. The arch strengthens. The ankle learns. The skin thickens. The foot becomes a survival organ, not just a platform, not just something inside a shoe, a living sensor, a grip system, a shock absorber, a balance tool, a map reader. And this is the first deeper reveal. Modern shoes did not only protect the foot, they changed the foot. They made the foot grow in a protected environment. And a protected environment builds a protected body. That sounds comfortable, but survival does not care about comfort. Survival cares about capability. The human foot is not simple. It has 26 bones. It has 33 joints. It has more than 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. That is a lot of machinery for something we hide in foam. Why so much complexity? Because the foot evolved for terrain, real terrain, broken terrain, living terrain. A flat shoe sole treats the world like a flat surface, but the ancient world was not flat. A root pushes up, a stone shifts, a slope tilts, a muddy patch gives way, a thorn waits under leaves. A modern shoe covers all of that. It makes the ground quieter, but quiet is not always safe. For ancient humans, the ground spoke, the foot listened, and the nervous system answered instantly. A small change in pressure could tell the body to shift weight. A sudden texture could warn of danger. A slight slip could trigger muscle correction before a fall. This mattered. A twisted ankle was not just inconvenient. It could be a death sentence. You could not hunt. You could not flee. You could not migrate. You could not carry food. You could become the slow one. And in the ancient world, the slow one was noticed. Not by doctors, by predators. So the foot had to do more than move. It had to prevent disaster. This is where the false answer breaks again. We think shoes make us safer because shoes support us. But support can become dependency. If the shoe supports the arch works less. If the shoe cushions the heel, the landing changes. If the shoe grips the ground, the toes grip less. If the shoe blocks sensation, the brain receives less information. The body adapts, but it adapts to the shoe, not the earth. Over years, the foot becomes skilled at living inside footwear. That is useful in modern life, but it is not the same as ancient barefoot ability. It is like keeping your hand in a glove from childhood, then asking why your fingers are weak. The problem is not that the hand is badly designed. The problem is that it was never fully used. Now look at the sole of the foot. This is where many people misunderstand ancient survival. They imagine barefoot humans walking on pain, bleeding, flinching, suffering, toughing it out. But a lifelong barefoot sole is not just a thin modern sole with more courage. It changes. It develops thicker plantar skin, a natural protective layer. But here is the surprising part. It does not become dead and numb. It can remain highly sensitive. That seems impossible. We assume thick skin means less feeling, but ancient barefoot adaptation was more refined than that. The sole became tougher while still reading the ground, protection without blindness, a shield with sensors. A modern shoe also protects, but it protects by separation. It blocks the ground, it reduces texture, it filters pressure, it turns complex terrain into a dull signal. The ancient sole protected by adaptation. It stayed connected. This gave ancient humans something we rarely think about: ground intelligence. They could feel the world under them, not in a poetic way, in a nervous system way. This could change how they walked, how they ran, how they balanced, how they avoided injury, how they chose paths, how they survived. Now think about running. If you run barefoot today on hard ground, you will probably avoid smashing your heel down first. It hurts. The pain is immediate. So your body changes the landing. You land more on the forefoot or midfoot. You bend more. You've absorbed force differently. Your foot and lower leg become part of the suspension system. Modern cushioned shoes changed that. They made heel striking comfortable, at least at first. A thick heel lets the runner slam into the ground in a way bare skin would reject. The shoe hides the warning, but hiding a warning is not the same as removing the force. ancient runners did not have foam to silence impact. So their bodies used mechanics. They landed in ways that reduced shock. They used the arch, the Achilles tendon, the calf, the toes, the spring system built into the human body. Again, the answer is not simple toughness. It is feedback. Pain was information. Pressure was information. Texture was information. The foot was not separate from the brain. It was part of the brain's survival map. Now we reach the darker part, because the ancient ground was not just rough. It was hostile. It could burn. It could freeze. It could cut. It could infect. It could poison. It could carry parasites. A bare foot meant direct exposure to the world. Hot desert sand could injure skin fast. Frozen ground could steal heat from the body. Sharp stone could open wounds. Wet soil could hide parasites. So why did humans not invent modern shoes immediately? Because invention follows need. And for most of human evolution, the barefoot foot was already solving many of these problems. Not perfectly, but well enough. In warm environments, barefoot humans used timing. They moved when ground temperatures allowed it. They chose shade. They used vegetation. They avoided the worst surfaces. They learned the landscape. In cold environments, the problem became more severe. Feet are far from the body's core. They lose heat quickly. Frostbite is real. This is likely one reason early foot coverings appeared as humans moved into harsher climates. But those first coverings were not modern shoes. They were barriers. Hide, plant fiber, simple wraps, sandals, something between the skin and danger. Not a machine that controlled the foot. Not a foam structure that changed the way humans walked. Early footwear protected the foot while trying not to replace it. Modern footwear often replaces function. That is the critical difference. A sandal can guard the sole. A thick modern shoe can reshape the entire movement system. At first that sounds like progress. And sometimes it is. Shoes are useful. They protect workers. They protect against glass. They protect against industrial hazards. They protect against cold. They protect against urban filth. The point is not that shoes are evil. The point is that shoes are powerful, and anything powerful can change the body. This is the uncomfortable reveal. Comfort can be a form of biological forgetting. When the world stops challenging a body part, the body stops maintaining its full ability. Muscle weakens, skin softens, nerves quiet down, balance changes, movement patterns shift. Then we need more support, more cushioning, more correction, more technology. And slowly, the solution becomes the cage. This has happened before in human history. Soft food changed jaws. Sedentary life changed hips. Artificial light changed sleep. Constant sitting changed posture. And shoes changed feet. Not in one dramatic moment, not like a curse, but slowly, generation by generation, step by step. The ancient foot was shaped by friction. The modern foot is shaped by protection. One learned the earth, the other learned the shoe. Now imagine an ancient adult walking across a rocky plain, no dramatic music, no heroic pose, just movement. The foot lands, the toes spread, the skin reads pressure, the arch flexes, the ankle adjusts, the body shifts before danger becomes injury. The person is not thinking about every rock. They are feeling them. The terrain becomes part of the body's awareness. A modern person on the same ground might stare down constantly. They might tense up. They might move slowly. They might fear every step. Not because they are inferior, but because their body was trained for a different world. A smooth world. A padded world. A world where the ground is hidden. And this is why ancient barefoot ability looks almost impossible to us. We are judging it with feet that never had to become ancient feet. We look at stone and imagine pain. They looked at stone and saw information. We look at thorns and imagine helplessness. They saw risk to manage. We look at no shoes and imagine lack. They had a system.